Here we are, the next episode of One Piece. This is 1095. We're not going to get sad again. We're not going to get sad again. We're just going to go straight into it. You know where we are. You know where we're going. 3, 2, 1. These last few episodes are going to be brutal, man. Brutal. Yeah, I agree. This was a trap. I wonder what Admiral Akbar would think of this. I definitely heard Vegapunk's name. Yeah. Well, shit. Get wrecked. Why are you so mad, boy? You just woke up. Yeah, I agree. You didn't seem like you thought it was strange. Guess we have to kick their asses. Yeah, she's pissed. Everybody's got something to say. I imagine in the manga that's one panel with them all standing there and each one has a bubble, right? He don't give a shit. Yeah. I'll kick your ass. So, I ask again, now that we know she has a weather stick, where was that? Where did she have that stuck up in? Yeah. He's swimming towards you. Yeah. That's right. Stay in the staff, Zeus. That's what's his face? The guy who wears the diaper, right? Damn, man. That's not very nice. The hell do you want? He don't care about being called Jimby. Huh. Death penalty. How dare you touch an army? You know he's not Jimmy. Like, these people are morons, man. You might believe he's a Jimmy clone, but you can't possibly believe he's actually Jimmy. Right? Like, what the hell? I will never forgive you. Let me put the smack down. Slap. That's right. So what would her awakening be? Could she turn other people into her arms and legs? Yeah. This is a test. So they're checking out their abilities. By fighting people, maybe he absorbs their powers? Or a copy of their powers? Let me put the smack down on you. Yeah. Spank. That's right. Spank that ass. Hell yeah. Slap that ass. Didn't seem to be doing anything. Wow. He's coming for her. He's coming for her. Look at him. You better run. Now he's going to put the smack down on you. Don't call out your attack. Just attack, man. Yeah, each attack gets him once. Oh, so you know he's not Jimmy. Gee. Wasn't sure you knew that. Yeah. Anybody attacks him gets smacked down. He's coming for you. Yeah. Yeah, this must be a way of them training him, right? I will shoot you in the head. It's Megapunk energy. Very suspicious. Your beam takes too long, man. Like that wind up was like 30 seconds. Anybody can dodge that shit. Yeah. Yeah. Are you a duck? What the hell? Jesus. I like this until I found out he was a duck. Oh shit. He's insatiable, man. He's insatiable and impenetrable. Yeah. Yeah. Why I gotta be a tramp? Yeah. Yeah. She's really worried about the money, isn't she? Psycho. I can't believe this is a trick, man. Damn, man. We're always thinking. I don't trust her. What's with the mouse? I can't believe she's just that psychotic, man. She led them in there like they were friends and then all of a sudden just sat in the back. It's really hard to rebound from this betrayal. Like, I wasn't expecting this. She's just through and through just a complete psycho from top to bottom, man. There's no middle ground here. There's nowhere to, like, reach her. It's just all murder. Yeah. What are you gonna do with that data, though? You gotta do something with it. Damn. He is stomping you out. Yeah. Wow, what a psycho. She must store all of her hate in her ass. That's why it's so big. Kill this sumbitch. You need to slow down, man. They got ADD messing. Uh oh. Now what? So much chaos. This is like. This arc is on steroids, man. There's just so much energy and so much chaos. Meanwhile, just chilling over here. one day, if I could ask the author one question, it'd be, why do you think people have snot coming out of their nose when they're sleeping? Why do you think that that's something that happens? Have you ever observed human behavior in your life? Have you ever seen anybody sleep? Like, you're crazy, man. Life is good, apparently. I think what they're saying is they may be linked. One of them's hungry, so they're all hungry. I wonder if they're linked. I see. Yeah, that's what they're saying. She's eating so he gets the energy. Among others, right? They're all linked. That's not efficient. If I was making these creatures, these clones, I wouldn't link them like this, because if one of them dies, you assume they all die, right? I'm glad that I have the mouse minion to help me with all this paperwork. That's right. Crates full. Although, the ability to have one eat and the rest of them be satiated while they continue to work, I see the efficiency. But you can have pizza in one hand and have your drawing pencil in the other hand and continue with your... I've done that before. I've pulled all-nighters drawing literally blueprints. Pizza in one hand, pencil in the other, man. Like, you can do that. It's efficient. They also have shakes that you can slam a shake in, like nutrition shake. In like literally 30 seconds. You drink it like you're drinking your soda, right? So you can also do that, right? So, like, there are efficient ways to eat and get your nutrition you need while continuing to work. As a workaholic, trust me, I know. So I don't think that the pros outweigh the cons. I think there's too many cons to have them linked together. I don't need to know that you need to go take a shit. Wow. I think if you kill one, you kill them all. So they're not going to be as dangerous as we thought. Digestion punch, huh? Although, being able to call for information like this would be efficient. Like, you just think it and you get it, right? And then she's doing the sleeping for everybody so they can stay awake. She's taking care of all their physical needs. And then they can continue working. I see the efficiency there. Because, man, there is no bigger waste of time than sleeping. God, you're wasting so much time. 6 to 9 hours a day, man. F you. If I could get rid of sleep, that would be awesome, man. Idiots. That's right. You have your orders. Be mad all you want. Yeah. We were just playing around. It's all good. Yeah. That's why you don't wear those shoes, man. The shoes were a trick bag. Shit. The shoes were a trick bag. They can kill you anytime they want to, essentially. Stand here in front of this laser. Well, that's a pickle. Yeah, stay mad. Shit. She is way too bloodthirsty. I don't think that's the case. Exactly. I think he's the OG. No, he's the number one. Okay. Shaka was the first one made. I got you. The real one might not even be on this island, you know? Great. Yeah, nor should you. They didn't get the lecture, so they don't understand. We got the lecture. Yeah. It's all interesting. These are the failures and discards. She's an OG hater. I think it's a false future. If you can't mass produce something, it's pointless. Like the air conditioning, they can't mass produce it. It's no use to have one of something, no matter how awesome that one thing is. Yeah. Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah, dumbass. I think I know what he means, but we'll let him explain it. Yeah, it was advanced and now we've regressed. The entire world has regressed. So is Vegapunk dead? Are they what's left of him? Yeah. From the past. Of course he does. Of course he wants to write it. So, I mean, that's a pretty common trope, right? Like they're doing all the tropes. Eventually, this story's going to hit everything, right? You know, the only thing they haven't done is time travel. I mean, we've done forward time travel. For me, that's not really time travel. You know, true time travel is you can go back and forward at command, right? And they very specifically made the rules you can't go back because if you go back, you can change shit. And that introduces the whole thing. Like, how many years have people talked about, oh, the time turner? Why do they use the time turner to do this, that, and the other? Because they would break the story, you moron. Like, we wouldn't have the 7 goddamn books if we could use the time turner to go back and keep Cedric Diggory from dying, man. That's why. Like, come on, man. Have you never seen a story before? It would break the goddamn story. That's why you can't do it. But a lot of writers just can't navigate around that. Like, you know, J.K. Rowling sure as hell couldn't. Yeah, let's just destroy all the time turners. That solves the problem. Here we go. They're all destroyed except for the stupid ass one in the Cursed Child. Ugh. Anyway, Most writers can't navigate that. So, and this writer didn't even want to try, didn't want to introduce that into the story. And so then why didn't he go back and save Ace? That'd be the very first, second, third, fifth, fourth, sixth, 18th question. The first 18 questions, why wouldn't you go back and save Ace? Because we can't go back in time. So then we don't get a cool ass time travel story because you fans ask the stupid questions. We don't go back and save Ace because it'd break the story, man. That's why we don't do it. The story is the story. Certain things have to happen for progression. If Ace doesn't die, we're not here right now. We don't have the 2-year time jump. They don't power up. Luffy isn't going to be Joy Boy. We don't save the world. Luffy never finds the One Piece if Ace lives. It's that simple. That son of a bitch had to be put in the ground, man. He had to die. Whitebeard had to die. It was vital to what happens next. We didn't know at the time, obviously. But it's vital what happens next. You ain't going back in time to save Ace. Jesus. These fans, they ruin everything, man. Now we can't have time travel where we go back in time because that's all anybody would ask. Why don't you save Ace? Maybe we want to go back and see the Void Century, man. That's what I want to do with the time travel. Screw Ace, The one thing they haven't done is parallel realities. The multiverse, it's big now, but this has been, people talk, oh, there's too much multiverse. Man, the multiverse has been around since the 60s, if not further back than that. I remember I was a kid, this tall, reading stories about parallel realities. People act like it's new, and it's already gotten old after a couple of years. Man, that shit's been around. He could have totally, I wouldn't be surprised if we do that at some point. But, back to the point. The idea of the ancient civilization that was technologically advanced, Atlantis. My stories were always about there was a civilization in Antarctica, Pangea, the tectonic plates move it down there to where it gets frozen. But before that, it was basically Atlantis. It was paradise. It was a huge technological civilization. And now it's buried under tons of ice, so we can't get to it. But it was there. Stargate SG-1 did the same thing. But, I was writing those stories when I was a kid. You could do that, right? But there is a little bit in the Bible. Sodom and Gomorrah seemed like they were nuked. The pillar of salt seems like somebody who was hit with a nuke and was just basically turned into ash. You could interpret it that way. I used to as a kid because I was really poured through the Bible, right? And there's a few things in the Bible that you can interpret as futuristic technology. That one, they turn the sand into glass, right? They literally talk about this in the Bible. So, obviously the Bible is bullshit from a religious perspective, but it's still at least 1,000 years old, right? If not older. Some of it's 1,500, 2,000 years old. So, these are things written by people a really long time ago before they knew what a nuke was. And they're talking about the sand being turned into glass. So, it's kind of interesting. There's a little bit there, not much there. But it's an interesting idea. I just don't know if people would actually regress. I mean, we've seen so many stories about it. So many things, the end of the world, the apocalypse, The Last of Us, people regress. The Walking Dead, people regress, and so many other stories. The Stand, Swan Song, Robert McCallum, I think his name is, a brilliant writer, absolutely brilliant writer. If you like Stephen King, you would love him. He's really good. He's got a lot of great stories out there. He wrote Swan Song. That was his The Stand apocalypse novel. And there, I just don't know that we would regress. There's so many of these stories about that. Civilization falls and we just regress. And I don't think so. I think technology would persist. I think ingenuity would persist. People would know this stuff is there, and they would find a way to revive it and hide the flame in the against the wind. And what is it? You put your light under a bushel so the wind doesn't blow it out. That kind of thing with technology. I don't know that we would regress in reality. Now this is a story. In a story, we regressed. 900 years ago, we got to a certain technological. I think this is a huge episode for the lore. This idea that we were technologically advanced, but what if it was a technological cul-de-sac? What if it was you could only go so far that direction? What if, for instance, if we suddenly develop the ability to transport a warp field or something? We could create a warp field to go anywhere in the universe we want to, as long as we know the like where it is in relation to Earth, how far away in what direction. As long as we knew those two things, we could create a warp field and just go there. If we could do that, what would happen to rocketry and space propellant and space engines that we currently have? What would happen? You know, we've spent since the 40s to now, so we have spent like 80 years developing space propulsion technology to go places really, really slow and at great expense and huge weight expense and all this stuff. What would happen to that 80 years of technological evolution if we could suddenly just warp to Saturn and warp to Pluto and warp to the moon, and we don't have to put ourselves on a controlled explosion to get up into space? We could just warp there. What would happen to that? The 80 years of going to the shit can. It'd be trashed. That would be a technological cul-de-sac. That would be something we've spent a lot of time working towards that went nowhere because we found something better. There could be another limitation. What happens to all of our combustion engines when we run out of oil? Which we will at some point. What happens? Like, internal combustion engine. What happens to that technology when we have no more oil? It goes into the shit can. We don't use it anymore. We turn it into something else. We locomote some other way. We'll find something. But we'll that'll be a technological cul-de-sac. The technology will stop. We can't go any further that direction. We will not make better internal combustion engines if we ain't got no more oil. We're not going to do it. We're going to have electric-powered cars and sun-powered cars and shit, but we're not going to have the internal combustion engine anymore. That's what I think actually happened here. I think that there's something that drives their technology from 900 years ago that is just not available. There's not enough of it. If we're talking about the lithium crystals or whatever, whatever it be, like green eggs or something, like little green powered eggs, and you have so many of these. In Stargate SG-1, they called them the 0 point module, right? The 0 point module has a huge, massive amount of energy, but it was finite, and there was only so many of them. And then once you didn't have these, the technology didn't work. So there's no future there. There's no future to a technology that requires a finite resource you don't have much of. So I wonder if that's what happened here. Because they clearly have the knowledge. What they lack is, and she talks about resources. And she talks about money too, but the resources, I think, specifically. What I think they lack is something that makes their technology go. They don't have enough of it. Either that or it's geolocated. Like there's something on this island that generates the power that makes this technology work that is not exportable. You go somewhere else, you can't use it. Now we've seen like the Seraphims go, and what they seem to be trying to do is create things that can go out into the world and be useful. But so much of what we've seen, the holograms and other stuff, so much of what we've seen on this island, we've never seen anywhere else, and we would have seen it somewhere else if it was exportable. So yeah, I'm gonna have to spend a lot more time thinking about this. We're close to 1100, and I'm gonna be doing this top. By the way, well, by the time you watch this, you will have already seen it. But I'm putting out a podcast in a week, my time, that will talk about all of One Piece, because that's what won the poll. It'll talk about all of One Piece and just overall general thoughts. I'll talk more about this kind of stuff here. Plus, I'm doing a Q&A, so I'll talk more about the whole of One Piece in that Q&A as well. But for now, like I said, I think this is one of those crucial episodes, one of those massive lore dump episodes that has far-reaching implications for the whole story, forwards and back, right? So yeah, this is a big deal.